Hello and welcome to the Coaches Collab. I am Melissa Knievel-Natanson, a certified holistic pet health coach. And here we talk about real pets and our real reasons why we became holistic pet health coaches. I am excited to introduce to you today Rina Gressett. She is another certified holistic pet health coach, and we are so thrilled to have you here today, Rina. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Good, good. So you're down in San Diego and you've had quite the journey in pet health. You've been in it for many years and it started, well, you've got a long story I know that we're going to get into, but you kind of got the push to become a holistic pet health coach through working through a pet food store. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes, I worked at a healthy pet food store here in San Diego called Dexter's Deli. There's 3 of them in San Diego. And I think 2016 to 2020. And I thought I knew a lot when I started there, but man, humility. I learned so much there. And they have weekly trainings with their staff. The staff are just so knowledgeable, and they have a nutritionist on staff, and she would come and do, staff meetings with us. And so I just really started to dive into knowing more details of pet health, and especially how much a fresh food diet was for our pets.
How much did that differ when you were, what were you feeding before you found out all of that?
Oh gosh, back in the day, I did everything my vet told me to do because I thought it was exactly what I was supposed to do, down to, the immunization record. And on that day, I had to give them the flea med, and they ate probably the crappiest kibble I could afford. But
that's tough.
Tough. Definitely working at Dexter's changed that. And having met a holistic vet a few years before that. But yeah, definitely learned, there's so many other options out there available to pet parents these days.
Well, and I so feel you on that, because I was when I started going through everything that I was going through with Darla and with her IBD, and I feel like we got put in this box of, this is what you have to feed. And if you dare step out of that, then it's going to be not good. Well, upon further investigation and doing a food intolerance test, she couldn't eat any of those things. And I thought, what do I do now? The vet saying, here, we got to just feed this. And none of those things were on the list. And I kind of share your sentiment. And that's when I started digging in, and my eyes got opened and really started digging into dog nutrition. And once again, vets are wonderful. We need them. We need them for diagnosis, and they definitely have their purpose. But nutrition isn't the top of their knowledge base. Unfortunately, they are just not, taking the nutrition classes. And us as HPHCs, that's a big part of our training.
Right.
So tell us, keep going on how that evolved.
And I'll speak on that for just a second too. When I had Snow, and we'll tell you more about Snow, but she had so many issues, but one was gastrointestinal stuff, and they put her on a specialized diet because I think it was a hydrolyzed protein. And what would happen is she would not eat for a few days, or she would then get bloody diarrhea. It kind of progressed. Then her blood sugar would drop, and then she would get so lethargic and we'd end up in the ER. And I'm talking blood sugar 27 and 34.
That's so scary to go through that.
Petrifying. So of course the internal med doctors were like, well, you need to put her on this prescription food, and she's going to be on that forever. And it works, right? I mean, in that time frame, and it is meant for dogs in a crisis, but they never spoke to me about getting her off of that and moving on to something else. Right. And so I was that petrified pet parent to even think of getting her off of that food, even though in my head, with some of the knowledge and background I had, I wanted to, but petrified to get her off because I knew what the repercussions were if we had those issues again.
Right. And it's,
So,
we're like, please, let's not have another ER trip.
right. So yeah, so I just want to speak to that. I was that petrified pet parent afraid to get them off that prescription diet. I totally get that.
So tell us a little bit more about when you were working at this pet food company and you finally started making the switch to fresh food, and what kind of changes did you see and how did you implement that?
Well, because I worked there, I was fortunate that, I had the plethora of food options. So my house kind of looked like the pet food store. Open the cupboard and the freezers, and there was multiple options of everything. Because some of the dogs that I had were picky eaters. The two that I have now used to be super picky, little poodles, man. They would want something one day and not the next. So
and let me just add that Rina is a poodle fan. I mean, poodles and Rina are like chocolate and peanut butter or some other good combo.
I am the crazy poodle lady, and I'm not offended by that.
We're going to find out more about her poodle love later on, but just throwing it out there, if you've got poodles and you want them to have a great, long, healthy life, Rina can help set you up on the pathway to health with your little poodles. And I think that's so cool.
Yes. And so Freeway or Coco and Muffin used to be the picky poodle eaters, and they'd eat something once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then they'd not want it again. So I had dehydrated, freeze-dried, raw, gently cooked, some kibble, higher end kibble. You name it, I had it. And I would have to just constantly change what they were eating. They didn't want something more than 2 or 3 days, and they were done with it. But since taking the course and making the CrockPet diet for them, they are not picky poodles anymore. Coco dances. She does the poodle dance for her food. And Muffin, they rarely miss a meal, and they lick their bowls clean. So it's been the only food that I've ever been able to feed them that they eat consistently.
Wow. That is fantastic to hear.
Yeah, pretty astonishing.
I want to back up a little bit and kind of like talk about the prequel to working at the holistic pet food store and getting into that, because there was a real connection with a little pumpkin that you had before the 2 that you have now. She has Coco and Muffin, and I've seen pictures, and darn it, I try to get a picture up here for y'all. I'll try, but they are the cutest darn things. But I'm gonna segue into this with asking, what is the reason behind your website name, which is the Heart and Soul Pet Connection? So tell us a little bit more about how that came to be.
Well, there's even a prequel to that, but
right.
But a little dog named Snow came into my life. I fostered her. She was a shell of a dog when I went to pick her up. Eyes were black. She was just kind of not even there. And I remember looking at my cousin and saying, what do you want me to do with that? Like, I don't even know what to do with her. And my cousin said, well, just love her, give her good stuff. You got this. Look what you did with, so-and-so dog prior. So I picked her up. I just knew straight away she was going to need holistic care. So I convinced the Humane Society to allow me to take her to a holistic vet. And she was getting all kinds of acupuncture, chiropractic, you name it, she was getting it, and definitely improving. And it was months, probably 6 months, maybe even closer to a year. And I was holding her. Well, at the very beginning too, like I said, she was a little shell of a dog. So we would just lay together. I'd lay her, she's a little 5-pounder, lay her on my chest, and we would just do some meditations together. Listen to calming music together. I would carry her almost everywhere, give her massages. We'd have outside time in the park to sit on the ground and ground with the earth.
And that's so important. That's so important to have that time to just connect with them.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking to Dr. Jeff Feynman, I think he was the one that said that when your dog is not feeling well, and if your dog is sick or your cat, one of the best things that you can do is just sit and be with them, have a meditation with them, and just have the calm energy. I think as pet parents, I know we talked about this, Rena, we tend to get so jazzed up and just freaked out, frankly, when something's going wrong with our little ones. I know I'm dealing with a little bit of an urgent situation with Darla right now, and I've been having to check myself because, I know better, and I love that you intuitively already knew that was one of the best things you could do for Snow.
Thank you. Thank you. So we were sitting in the park one day, and I had her in my arms like a baby, and I looked down at her, and I'm going to say the story without crying. For the first time, she looked back at me. We locked eyes, and I felt a magnetic clink. I don't even know what to say, literally in the center of my chest and my heart. And for the first time, her eyes weren't black. I could tell they were a dark brown, and I could actually see the eyes. And we had a few moments of a connection so deep, I can't explain it. And I've had many heart dogs, but she literally touched my soul. And I said to her, I see you. I see everything that you are and all that you are. And I love you for all that you are.
Oh.
And it was such an amazing emotional, spiritual moment. And then it was brief. It was fainting. She kind of was like, okay, that was it. We made the connection. And, she turned away and we finished our afternoon. But I just remember sobbing. Like that was I've never felt that connection with an animal before. And it was kind of a turning point for her. Her health definitely improved from that point. So that is definitely why it is a heart and soul pet connection.
Well, you're getting a lot of love in our Facebook comments, Rena, about your heart and soul pet connection. And as I always say, your tears are definitely welcome here because this is our real talk, right?
Yeah.
This is the reason why we're here. So many of us have been inspired by love and loss, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. And one of the main reasons that I wanted to do these interviews is because I think there are so many beautiful, amazing people in this program as holistic pet health coaches that have so much to offer. And this is an opportunity for you to get to know them and know Rena's big heart and soul that goes into everything she does with holistic pet health coaching. And Rina, what does it mean to you to be a holistic pet health coach? I want to talk a little bit about what we do, but I want to hear from your mouth. What does it mean for you to be a pet health coach?
It kind of, in prior conversations we've had, there's been little pieces and bits of this throughout my life. And I always knew I wanted to do something with people and their pets. And I worked at Kaiser Permanente for 13 years. And I jokingly say I used to get in trouble almost every day for talking to coworkers about their pets.
Rita was the problem child.
I was the problem child. If I wasn't getting written up, I was getting called into the office. I was always getting in trouble for
me up, Rena.
Talking to everybody about their pets. And what a turnaround, because now I'm, that is what I do now, is to talk to people about their pets. So I love it. I just love how it full circled.
Full circle from getting written up and getting in trouble. Right. I'm laughing because this is something I would get in trouble for. Like, you want to, you've got a pet? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And you turn it around to now, hopefully getting paid to talk. And
right.
Y'all, we don't do this for the money. We do this it's for heart and soul connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost for me, and,
but you told me you used to get in trouble somewhere else for talking about pets all the time.
It was definitely at work.
Okay, maybe there was another one.
Even at Dexter's, I would talk to the clients way too long. Oh, well.
Yeah.
But
Shows your passion.
yeah. So I always knew I wanted to do something with animals. I knew I couldn't be a vet tech. That just didn't sit right with me. And for years, I was like, okay, pet concierge, pet coach, pet something, pet nanny. No, like I didn't know what it was. And then I was at a pet sit late at night and I saw one of the Facebook posts for Dr. Ruth's program. And I literally think I jumped out of bed with excitement. And I thought, oh my God, there's a program. She put a name to it. I thought she wrote this for me. This program was created for me. I was like,
Right.
I will find a way. This is me. So I love educating pet parents and sharing the things that I know. Because I always remember back, when I didn't know what I know or knew, and somebody said something to me or dropped a little nugget or planted a seed or made me think outside of my box, and what a difference that made. I used to be a preschool teacher too, so education's kind of forefront. So educating pet parents is really what makes me sing.
Right. Right. That's amazing to hear. Well, and as certified holistic pet health coaches, some of the things that we are trained in, we have a very well-rounded education, is we are trained in functional medicine, traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, holistic nutrition, environmental factors, because as holistic pet health coaches, we look at the whole.
Yeah.
We look at the whole mind, body, and soul for pets. Now, also keeping in mind that we don't treat or diagnose. That's what we need our wonderful vets for. But part of our role is to bridge the gap between vet care and pet parents. And here's why. This statistic continues to stagger me. There's approximately 80 million pets in this country and only approximately 75,000 vets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being more and more recognized that there is a huge shortfall.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of overworked and overwhelmed vets. And a lot of times pet parents are getting a diagnosis. Here you go.
Yeah.
With sometimes little to no explanation and nothing but medication or shots to go off of. And we believe that there's a better way and that food is the foundation of health and to start supporting them from the ground up. And if there's not a foundation, the building's going to topple. And so that's what we really like to think of. We're building a foundation and a pathway to health so that the body can do those things. And if any of this resonates with you, if you have heard Rina's story and thought, that's me too, I know exactly how she's feeling. I know exactly how Melissa's feeling. Then there are links in our comments. Please take a look at one of our workshops and sign up to talk with Dr. Ruth. And we're really creating a movement so that we can offer our pets the same whole body care that we want to get as humans. What do you think about that, Rina?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny how, working at Dexter's, I realized how many people have a disconnect in their brain between them and their pets. So, and I even had it. So many people come in and say, they're super fit, they're wearing their yoga outfits, got their bottle of water, and they come in and say, I'm looking for a kibble for my dog, but he's really itchy. And I'm like, okay, so what do you eat? Oh, he only eats dog food. Okay, well, let's talk about who created dog food and why. And are you eating Doritos and, Pizza Hut every day? Because you don't look like it. You look like you're eating pretty healthy. Are you putting any of what you're eating into the pet's bowl? No. They never even thought of that. They're taking care of themselves, but they don't think the same thing works for their pet. And mine was kind of opposite of, I was doing everything for my dogs, that I could do, and forgetting like, oh yeah, Rina, like why don't you go to the chiropractor and get acupuncture for some things? Like, oh yeah, why don't you try a probiotic?
Yeah. So Rina, what do you feed Muffin and Coco, your little poodles?
Oh, they eat the CrockPet diet.
All right. And if y'all haven't heard about the CrockPet diet, there is a link in the comments to that as well. And if there's not, I will make sure that there's one in there, but there's definitely a link to Dr. Ruth's website. And that's an option. And there's a link in there where you could reach out to Rina or me or any holistic pet health coach for help with the CrockPet diet. And if you've not heard of it, it is a complete diet that you can make at home in the crock pot. And it's really a time saver and a health saver for so many pets to just transition them off a kibble. I ask people so often, I feel you on this, Rina, with that. I will so often ask pet parents what they're feeding their little nuggets. And it's always, oh, I'm feeding the best food,
Right.
which is one of those prescription diets that shall not be named. And I usually ask, have you looked at the ingredients? Because I'm not sure I know what half of those are. And so if you wouldn't sit down and pour yourself a nice bowl of kibble, I don't think we should have our doggies and kitties eating it either. Their digestive systems really have not evolved that much in the last hundreds of years to be eating what they're eating now. And it's starting to show because the health problems are coming out in mass. Especially, I know we were talking about the cancer rates are skyrocketing. And I know that you are on a mission to help turn the tide on what we're feeding our animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also personally truly believe that we need to meet the pet parent where they're at. So many people, you need to feed them only completely raw, or you're only kibble, or, I have to feed only the CrockPet diet. What can you afford? Right. What fits your lifestyle? How can we add fresh stuff? If you can only do kibble, then how can we get you to a higher quality kibble and add fresh stuff in, and maybe do a 50-50? If you can only do fresh cooking, and feed them 3 days a week instead of 7, great. That's 3 days more. So, it doesn't have to be all or nothing or either or. It can be a combo. And right. You got to work with the pet parents on their budget and what works for them.
I agree. And in fact, we do have a question. So Brian is asking, is that hard to make? What's your answer for Brian?
The CrockPet? Yeah. It is not. I make it harder than it is because I don't like doing it every week for my dogs. So I make 2 double batches. So I have 2 big stock pots, and I just double batch of whatever in one and double batch in the other. So it does take me a longer prep time because I'd rather just do that once a month than do it every week. So, but it's not. Once you start doing the recipe, you get in the role and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is easy. And so many people too worry about it being precise and exactly balanced, but it's balance over time with all of us, right? With everything we do, it's balance over time. So, if I put 4 1/4 cups of vegetables this time, and oops, next time I'm a little short and it's 3 3/4 cups, I don't freak out anymore.
That's an excellent point. It's a really excellent point. It doesn't have to be an exact science. It's designed so you can rotate proteins, you can rotate vegetables to be in season with what's going on. And in fact, most of the time we recommend that. With a lot of our pets, their nutritional needs have to do with amino acids. And those amino acids are only found in meats, but the profiles of amino acids are different in different meats. So we most of the time recommend that there's a rotation diet that also prevents something called leaky gut. So if there's some inflammation or some imbalances in the microbiome, rotating the foods can prevent leaky gut in the way that if there's inflammation and the body forms an antibody against the food that it's eating because it's inflamed or it's not getting digested properly and the intestinal wall doesn't recognize it, then it's like, oh, invader, antibody. But if we're rotating, that can be beneficial to both the microbiome and the dog's overall health because we're getting balance over time, as Rina said, and balancing out nutritional profiles in addition to setting the stage for a healthy microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
Rina, I want to ask you, what is the most rewarding part about being a holistic pet health coach?
I would probably say when a pet parent trusts you and follows your guidance and makes some of these changes, and they see changes in their pet that happen pretty quickly on some dogs. I mean, when you go from, a straight out kibble to putting some healthy, fresh food in their bowl, and you realize one, quickly how much they want to eat, as opposed to, I have grazers where their food sits there all day. I'm like, not with my girls. Just how interested they are in the food. And just by not even eating it just over a short period of time, the changes, like, oh my gosh, he's not scratching as much, or his skin's not as dry, or he's not licking his paws today. It's just amazing how quickly some changes can be seen.
It is amazing. And I love to get the feedback and I love to get the stories.
Yes.
What else, if we had a closing statement, not that we're going anywhere anytime soon, but what would you want people to know about you that makes you, we're once again going back to, we're connecting here. And I want everybody to get to know Rina. She's an amazing holistic pet health coach. So if you've got questions, now is the time. But what would you want people to know about you to be like, you know what? Rina's my gal. She's going to help.
I'm very passionate about it. Gosh, I would say definitely if you have poodles, small poodles, they're my jam. But senior dogs are my specialty. Dogs with special needs are my specialty. And I love to help rescue groups. I love to, show them that there's another way to do things and to help that animal. And there is a rescue group here in San Diego, Lionel's Legacy, and they're a senior dog rescue. And I've done many things with them over the years. And they're one of my favorites because they are holistically minded and they understand there is a place and a time for the Western medicine and the veterinary care and the meds that are needed. But they also understand that there is definitely some stuff with the Eastern medicine and things that can help, and they can work together. And just recently on their page, they had a Chihuahua who was mauled, and he had to have surgery, and his back, it was, oh my gosh, the pictures were horrendous. But there was a patch about this big on the dog's back where the skin had to be pulled together. And it was all this dead skin, like hanging off of it. It looked like mummy bandages sitting there. It was horrible. And yes, he was getting the medication and the antibiotics and the things from the veterinarian, but they also do, it's called Lionel's Lunchbox. They make their own food. And this dog was eating Lionel's Lunchbox. She was using CBD and like the tincture, and gosh, I have to look at the video. I can't remember, but a couple other like herbal things. And she was massaging it on to that dead skin like 3 or 4 times a day.
Interesting.
And within, not even a 2-week period of time, if you check out their website, you can see some of the pictures. It fell off. His skin looks amazing. Like the healing that occurred was insane. And I don't know that if she hadn't been doing some of those more holistic things that it would have had that same outcome.
It's amazing what the body can do when we give it the tools to, excuse me, when we give it the tools to rebuild itself.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to ask you, with the senior care, what are some of your favorite things to incorporate for our senior pumpkins?
Well, most of them definitely have arthritis of some kind. So I like Dr. Ruth's supplement Arthropause.
Arthropause. That's a great one. Let me see if I can get a link in there too. I'll at least put it in the comments.
Yeah, Arthropause definitely helps reduce inflammation and pain. And if I forget it for a couple of days, I can tell Muffin is not walking like she should be.
I mean, if I don't take it for a couple of days, no, I'm kidding. I don't.
Hey, I actually had a flare up once in my back and I took it for a few days and it did help. I mean, there was nothing in it I couldn't take.
Nope, they're all human grade. They're human grade supplements.
And so Arthropause CBD daily for our senior pets. It helps with cognition. It helps with joints, inflammation, just so many things. Yeah, I rotate between CBD Dog Health, sometimes Ease, sometimes Heal, and another one that I can get at Dexter's called Pet Relief.
Yeah.
So I alternate.
What is your experience with mushrooms?
Oh, that's another one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Myco Dog has a mushroom tincture. My dogs are okay with powders too. So again, I alternate products for mushrooms, sometimes tincture, sometimes powders, but they're just all the way around amazing. And if I can find them at the store, they go in the CrockPet Diet too. So if I can find shiitake, lion's mane, oyster mushrooms, if I can find them at the store, they go in the CrockPet.
Oh, there we go. That's interesting. I've not done that before. Do you feel like that makes them more bioavailable as far as them being digested? Yeah. When you put it in the crock pot, you're just putting like a powder or a tincture in there?
No, like the mushrooms itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's
if I find it at the store, I cut it up and that's one of the vegetables that goes in the CrockPet Diet.
You know what? I've never done that.
Oh.
And frankly, I hadn't thought of that. This is why I love these coaches collabs so much.
We collab
and we learn something every darn time. This is an awesome group. It's an awesome group. Well, okay. So since we're laughing, oh wait, let me see here. We have a comment. Let me make sure we have no more questions. No more questions at the time. Okay. But this is one of my favorite parts of the coaches collab. Wait, hold on. I feel fancy when I do this. Time for pet perks and pet peeves. I'm going to get a tone for that. I'm telling you. Eventually, there's going to be music and a lineup and buzzers. Pipe dreams. We'll see. Okay, so pet perks are all the things that you love, like your top 3. I love it. I got to have it. This makes a huge difference. And pet peeves are wave a magic wand, and if they could be gone, the planet would be better off without the pet peeves. So, pet perks. You got 3 for me, Rina?
You want me to do the perks first?
Yeah. See, I like to switch it up.
You want to start with the positive? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was hard to pick 3. I mean, I could probably list 10 easily, but
I mean, you can if you want to.
Well,
there's no rules here.
Definitely fresh food.
Yes.
Species appropriate. Whatever that means to you as a pet parent, whether it's raw, gently cooked, a mixture, just adding fresh food into their bowl. That would be probably my biggest perk because it makes such a difference.
Agreed.
Gosh, and that's the easiest one to do. You know, how easy is it to drop a few sardines in their bowl or an egg or, some cooked vegetables before you put it in your pot for dinner? I mean, it's just so easy to do to add fresh stuff in.
I mean, total thumbs up on that.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And sardines, that was such a great tip. I'm going to give this is not I'm not plugging anyone, but the salt-free sardines at Trader Joe's, if you're in California, yay, complete omega-3 right there.
Yep.
So,
I try to do that probably once a week for my girls, and they love it. I mean, it stinks, but they love it. And I buy the same ones.
Yeah, they're great.
They're pretty inexpensive too, which is another perk.
Yeah, they're like $1.50, I think. Yeah. So awesome. Okay.
Gosh, I love the amber collars.
Oh, okay.
I have them on both of the girls, and it's
Can
so
you
cute.
tell us why? What do you use the amber collars for?
For flea control.
Okay. And how do they work?
If I have it correctly, it is.
I'm putting in the hot seat now.
It creates like a friction from the movement on their fur, and it creates like an electrostatic charge, and it just repels the fleas. They don't like that electrostatic. So and it looks like a necklace everywhere I take the girls. People are like, "Oh, you have the cutest little necklace on." Yes, and it's killing fleas. Getting rid of fleas.
They're very cool. Darla also wears an amber collar. And they're, to go off of what Rina says, amber contains a frequency that resonates in a bad way with fleas. So the idea is that if they're within range of this amber collar, that they get a big, like, no, do not pass go, don't jump on this pet type frequency. And I've had pretty good luck with mine. I feel like if you've got the amber collar plus some natural flea and tick repellent, because they're so tough right now, those little bugs, I think the whole country is kind of getting inundated with flea and tick stuff.
Yeah, 'tis the season. The warm weather.
What's your third?
I would probably say, well, I had the Assisi loop for Muffin, and it ran its course. So it's only set for so many sessions, and it's ran its course. And since I've not had it to use, I can tell her arthritis, it definitely made a difference for her. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at moving over to the PEMF mat, the PEMF mat, pulsed electromagnetic frequency mat.
Great job.
And that one doesn't have a set amount of servings. You can recharge that one. Yeah. So I need to move over and get that for her. And I have to watch the replay of the live that Dr. Ruth did the other day about PEMF.
Yeah, it's very cool. And if any of you listening, I'm going to put the PEMF just as a comment in here. But Rina's email address is also in the comments, and I am going to put it up again right now. If you have questions on that, you can email any of the coaches with Dr. Ruth's program, or you can email Rina or check out our website, or me if you've got questions on that. The PMF mats are very cool. Oh, look, there's Jen. Yep, Jen, they are awesome, aren't they? I use mine daily too. Sometimes I lay down there with Darla. She gets on it, and it is cool that it's got a phone app, and we just turn it on, and away we go. And it's about 30 minutes, and they just snuggle up and they get some nice pain relief. Right. Okay.
If they're going to be napping, you might as well have some benefit going on while they're napping.
Right. Okay. So pet peeves it is.
All right. I'm going to add another perk. I was going to say high quality supplements. And that's a hard one because there's so many supplements out there, and they are not all created equal, especially with CBDs. But, I don't know. So many pet parents just don't know what they're looking for in supplements. And so they spend their money on stuff that just has a lot of fillers and other stuff in it and is just not really doing the benefits that it could be doing. So high quality supplements would be another perk.
I am so glad you added that one. And that's a really important point, because I feel like if you Google kidney supplements for dogs right now, It's going to be like 5,000 different things that come up, and it's so confusing. And it's like, gosh, what do I do?
What do I choose?
Y'all, this is why we're here. We are guides through this sea of supplements. We often talk about our supplement graveyards, we call them. And that's the things that we've tried over and, we were trying this supplement, we're trying that supplement. This didn't work, that didn't work. We've got a supplement graveyard.
Yeah.
Part of our education as holistic pet health coaches is to be educated on the best supplements that are out there. And we're in groups with vets that have formulated this, including our amazing own Dr. Ruth Roberts. Her supplements are top notch, and we can guide you through. If there's a health challenge that you're facing, we can give suggestions and guide you through what we have researched and studied and been through the ringers on to provide you something that we've had good success with. Now, of course, every pet is different, but this is another reason why we're there. And I know Rina's a really good guide, just as she mentioned, here we go. Here's some supplements that have a track record for being of benefit.
And I think a lot of pet parents don't give the supplements enough time. Either that's another thing is, you expect to see a difference in your pet and you've only used it 2 or 3 days. And then you go, it doesn't work. It's just like all the other supplements and it ends up in the cupboard in the graveyard with the others. Some supplements you can see a change in a few days, but most of the time you need to use it at least 30 days. Give it time.
Agree. They didn't get this way overnight.
Right.
And they're not going to come out of it overnight. We're setting the foundation for health. Okay. So good, Rina. You're winning. All right. Pet peeves. Here we go.
All right. Peeves. Okay. Well, although there's a time and a place for them, keeping pets on prescription diets when they don't need to be on it is definitely a peeve. But again, like we said earlier, I was that petrified pet parent of getting them off that diet, but now I know better. And I know that there are things that we can do and there are alternatives. So once that pet's past a crisis period and they're stable, let's see what else we can do for them.
Right, because we only know what we know at the time. And another great part of this program is education, not only for the people that we work with, but us every single day.
Yeah.
We are learning every single day. We often, as holistic pet health coaches, are attending lectures with vets, with Dr. Ruth, we're connected to her. She's answering questions. We have each other, which is amazing. We have a great network of people that we can reach out. And so when you're working with a holistic pet health coach, you're actually working with an entire team of resources. And it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Okay, that was really positive. And we're supposed to be on pet peeves. We can make it positive, though.
That's okay. That's okay. And I think more than the diet themselves, I think is the fear that is continued by our veterinary care team. Actually, unfortunately, if you take your pet off of X is going to happen, or they have to be on this their entire lives. There's like that fear placed on it to keep you purchasing that. And I think that's definitely a peeve because that's not 100% true.
I hear you. Okay. What else we got here?
To go along with that, all the flea preventatives.
Okay. That's a good one.
There are definitely natural ways to battle the fleas. It's harder. It takes more work. You have to use sometimes layers. Sometimes you still don't win the battle. But just how it's made to seem like it is such a quick and easy thing to do every month for your pets without really knowing what the downsides of using all of those pesticides are. So yeah, flea constant flea treatments is definitely a peeve.
Well, and should we talk a little bit more about why we take an approach, a little more natural approach, as holistic pet health coaches? A lot of the topical chemical flea and tick medications that you can purchase at a veterinary office contain chemicals that paralyze fleas and ticks. And the way that happens, whether it's an oral or if it's a spot on, that chemical then goes into your pet's bloodstreams. And so if a tick or flea bites them, they ingest that chemical, and then it works on paralyzing their nervous system. Here's the thing. Those pests have to bite your pet for them to work. So we advocate for, let's just keep the pests off of them in the first place. So what are some of the things you like to use? This is a rabbit hole we'll go down, but just a quick, what you use. And for anybody listening, if you go to the Holistic Pet Health group with Dr. Ruth Roberts, where you'll find all of us amazing holistic pet health coaches, there's almost 24 of us on there answering questions, trying to help pet parents out. There's mass amounts of information about flea and tick preventatives. And once again, reach out to Rina. What do you use, Rina?
I've been giving this for a long time, and it was a company here in San Diego. It is just called Flea Treats. And it's kind of a mixture of B vitamins and I think brewer's yeast, and I'm not even sure what's in it. I haven't looked at the bottle in so long, but it just changes the way the carbon monoxide comes off the pet's body, and it makes them unnoticeable to a flea. They don't even recognize the dog as a host. So that's kind of my first line of defense, along with feeding a fresh, healthy diet. Because fleas they love unhealthy animals. So the unhealthier your pet is, the more likely they are to have fleas. So, that's a whole other topic. But so yeah, that, and then the amber collars. And if I know I'm going somewhere, park or whatever with the girls, then giving them a little spritz of Wondercide spray on their bellies and legs and things beforehand. And I just have learned to not freak out. If I find 1 or 2 or 3 fleas on them, out comes the Wondercide, and pick them off. And then I know I've got to vacuum, I've got to bathe the dogs, I've got to do all the, laundry, I've got to do all those things, but I don't freak out. Oh my God, my dog has fleas.
Right. It's definitely a process. It's a process to keep them. We got to take care of the yard, take care of the environment. That Wondercide's got a spray you can spray. There's nematodes, which are amazing. So once again, that's a rabbit hole we won't go down. But Jen just had a friend with a 2-year-old Cavapoo suffer a seizure after getting flea and tick. So these side effects can happen. And
they can use
natural approach.
They can be using the same product for years with no problems. And then they put on a dose and the dog has a seizure, or the dog is lethargic, or some other thing, neurological thing happens. So it's like a roulette table, you never know where it's going to land. And I could be using it every day, and tomorrow it may be the one that's going to hurt my pet. And that's not a risk I'm going to take for my dogs.
Right. Yeah. I agree, Rina. What's your third pet peeve? Although that was a darn good one. I mean, it's like a 3-in-1.
Yeah. I put some thought into this last night. The other one I would say is veterinarians who are not open-minded and don't want to work in partnership with their pet parents. It is my way, is the only way. It's got to be this way. I've even heard of pet parents questioning, or asking their veterinarian, and their veterinarian tells them they're not welcome back in the office. They get kicked out as a client. So, it should be a partnership. You know things I don't know. I know things you don't know. We can learn from each other. And the objective should be to take care of our pet the best way we feel that can be done. And so if there isn't this give and take and this partnership, then it's just one-sided. And I've just come across so many that are just, they're not open to that partnership.
That is tough. That is tough. But you know what? I believe that we are changing that. I really do. I feel like the tide is turning, and I've noticed that so many more pet parents are becoming open-minded because they feel that some veterinary care, some veterinary standards of care have failed them. And the research and the science and the knowledge about diet and nutrition is coming more to light every day. And sometimes I feel like veterinarians can get stuck in what I call the old science. For example, if your little pumpkin were to get some vomiting and diarrhea, Rina, what would they tell you to do?
Metronidazole.
Chicken and rice.
Right.
And we have since learned that that's not the case. In a lot of situations, rice can be even more inflammatory, and that's tough on our little ones. And so now, our recommendation is usually do something really easy on their little tum-tums, like a turkey and pumpkin, or just a little ground turkey and a little broth to start out with, or a little turkey and butternut squash that's really soothing and coating, and maybe not adding the inflammatory aspect of rice. So,
and slippery elm is, I have that in my cupboard and never far from that.
Yeah. So that was just an example. Yeah. And I think that was a great point to bring up. But we're getting there. And of course, our hope is that we can not only collab as coaches, but collab with the vets, because I think there's an opportunity for us to really work together and take some of this load off of them. Let's think of it like that. They've got such a load on them. We can take some of this stuff and say, hey, pet parent, you need a kidney diet? We've got you. You need an IBD diet? We've got you. And then we don't just have like, okay, let's give an antibiotic or a steroid and see what happens. It's about resolving the symptoms instead of just masking them.
Yeah.
I want to see what Jen has to say here. Jen. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you participated today, Jen. Yeah. Thank you. It was nice to see you.
And Audrey.
Yeah. Well, I love our little fan group that we've got going on. They're the best. That's one of the most amazing things about being a holistic pet health coach is, once again, talking about the amazing resources that we have and our colleagues who are all amazing. It's a great team. So we have got the links in the comments. Once again, if this resonates with you, if you want to join our team, if you need a holistic pet health coach, please click on one of those links to find out more. Rina, is there anything that you would like to leave our viewers with today before we hop off this amazing coaches collab?
Add fresh stuff to your bowl.
Or anything about you. Do you want to, I know, I'm sorry you coughed.
No,
do you
okay.
want, or this is your chance to shamelessly plug.
Definitely, if you have a senior pet, if you have, Muffin has some kidney disease. She's in stage 2 kidney disease. So I've got some knowledge in that realm. Senior pets, rescue pets. If you just want to learn, I would love to help you. I'm very passionate about it, and I talk a lot. You're going to learn a lot. So, and I don't know everything. There may be people who come to me with something I've never heard of before, or I don't have the answers, or I'm not comfortable working with. But that is why we've got this group of amazing coaches, because the education and background is so vast that if I have a client who comes to me and I know I can't help them, I am actually going to refer one to you, because she's got some serious gut issues, and that's
okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so we can refer to each other and help each other and get educated and make suggestions. So definitely, the economy is so hard right now. Everybody is looking for help for free because they're spending their money on so many other things, and they're so hesitant to book a consult with any of the coaches. And all I can say is they're worth it, because not only, what we are charging for and what you see us doing or telling you is a minute amount of what we're actually doing. We are going in the group and asking questions. We're going into, we're going down the rabbit hole on the internet for you. We're researching so that we can give you the best information. And you may just ask a simple question like, what's the best probiotic for my pet? And I've spent 2 hours on the internet researching that for you. So it may be a 30-second answer, but it took me 2 hours to do that. So you don't have to. So don't hesitate to book a consult with any of the coaches. It is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, she's so right. We're definitely behind the scenes,
Yeah,
using all available resources that we can get our hands on to formulate a customized health plan for your little fur kids. Because as Rina said, her heart and soul connection, and so many of us, we treat your babies the way we would treat our own, because you deserve that. And so do they. So do they. So, Rina, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and there's a lot, and I can't speak for all the coaches. I don't know them all, but there is a lot of hand-holding per se that goes on, because like you said, you bring your dog in for something and you get a diagnosis and a bag of food and a prescription, and you've seen the vet for all of 10 or 15 minutes, and now your head is swirling, and you go home, you start going down the rabbit hole on Google. Now you've got 3,000 more questions, and now you're hearing all,
and probably scared too.
Right. Do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, and scared, and you don't know what way to go. So we have that time with you. The vet only has 10 minutes with you. We have 30 minutes. We have an hour with you. We can tell you what that diagnosis means, what the blood work looks like, what you should ask the vet the next time you go. So we can spend that time with you explaining things that they can't.
Well said, Rina. This has really been nice to have you on the Coaches Collab. I learned something new, like I do every time. And we had some great questions coming up. And if we didn't get to your question during this live, we'll try to answer it in the comments afterwards. I know, Deb, you had a great question about shots. That's another one that has been, we can go over that in the Holistic Pet Health group with Dr. Ruth Roberts. There's some info and some guides in there. And Brian, excellent question on grief. And I may be giving a little bit of something away right now, but not too much. I'm going to say stand by, because we hear you, and we are hearing a lot of pet health coaches and pet parents are going through some really tough times and have experienced profound loss like Rina has. We are hearing that call. And we're going to have something coming up. Won't say soon, but we're working on something that is going to support us all in a way I feel is going to be very cathartic about a topic that is not talked about enough. So please stand by for more info on that. So, Rina, thank you again.
You're welcome.
And stick around for a minute after we get off of here, because we can chat a little more in this Coaches Collab. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much, everyone who joined in to listen, our fellow pet health coaches who are always so supportive. We appreciate it so much. And as always, positive vibes. Take care.